Okay, so we're going to look at replacing the heater pipes now, which is a job that a lot of people worry about, but it's nowhere near as difficult as people make out. So, we've got the heater valve up here, so the hot water travels from the engine up to the back here, and it obviously gets a little bit cooler and then runs back down the other side. So this pipe comes down here, behind this bit of carpet, there it is, along the sill here, up here, and then it scoops under a little hole in that door pocket behind this door card and off to the back. So to start, we're going to start pulling this carpet forward here, and we're going to remove this bit of trim, this door card, and the little pocket. This is just a little pocket down here. It's a little bit of cardboard that lifts out, and then we're going to have a look at it from there. So let's get into this. Okay, so now we can see where the coolant pipe runs to. So it comes along the sill here, into that little tight corner, and then back up on this side and up there. So the trickiest bit is this little bend in the middle, but there are ways around it. Now I actually run 19mm coolant pipe down the sills, which are actually thicker than these ones. These are only 16 inner diameter, and what I do is I just cut a little slot in here and just feed the pipe through there and down there, which is much easier. But anyway, we're going to see how we get on doing it the original method. So the problem is with this pipe is it's just, because it's so old, it is quite stiff, but, well, it's very stiff. This is probably the original pipe, which is all the more reason to change it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start feeding it along, and we're going to try and pull it up through that gap, up this way. And then after we've done that, we'll talk about it then. So I'm going to try and feed that up now, and then we'll come back to you in a minute. I might be eating my words a little bit here, because these are the most difficult pipes I've had to do so far. So it's ripped in a couple of places. It's ripped at the top here and snapped one section off, and then in trying to get it out, I ripped the other bit as well. So this is where we're at now. And this section, if I just pull it this way, you can see it is coming out. But the other silly thing that I've done is I didn't blow all the coolant out of the lines with anything with a bit of compressed air first. So it is currently filling the sill with a little bit of old coolant, but nonetheless, it is coming out. So can't have everything our own way. There we go. Now doing a bit of a wee out the drain hole in the floor, but that's fine, we can live with that. So now we can see the wood from the trees. We're going to now look at feeding in the new coolant pipe, which I'm going to try and do from here, because that's how I've usually done it before. I've heard people say they've used talcum powder and all sorts of things before, but I've never had any need for that. So I'm just going to use a little bit of WD-40 and try and feed the pipe up to the front. Okay, so here's the new coolant pipe. Luckily it's very nice and flexible, unlike the old stuff that was just disintegrating in my hands, literally. Right then, so we're going to start with this end, and we're just going to try and feed it down through this hole. Turn the torch on. We're just going to try and feed it down through this hole, back up to the front. Which may or may not work. Right, so I can feel a bit of resistance. And look at that. And who said that bit was difficult, eh? Nice. Cool. So I'm now just going to grab this bit, feed from this end, pull from this end. How about that? Nice. It's that easy. Right then, so this was nearly impossible to film and feed at the same time. But I've just put a little bit of, oh come on, hold the camera still. I've just put a little bit of WD-40 on that grommet up there, and I've just fed the pipe up, brought it round, and then I'm just going to curl it round that corner, trim it to suit on there. Nice new stainless Jubilee clip on it. Job done. If the camera ever focuses anyway. We're gonna have a nice sweeping bend in there so it's not too tight. Cool. And now then, we've just got to tackle this bit down here, which is the fun bit, but we'll see how we get on. What we're gonna do now is probably not gonna feed all. I think that we've got, like, how many meters of this did we get? I think we've got 20 meters of pipe here, so I'm probably not gonna send all 20 meters down. I'm probably just gonna cut it so that I know I'm gonna have plenty of excess, and then I'm gonna feed the end through that hole on the left till it comes up through here, and then I'm gonna twist it either anti-clockwise or clockwise to get the kink out of it, because that's always where they kink. And then we're just gonna feed it along there, back through the grommet, and into the engine bay. So let's get it done. Right then, so we'll try and do this on film. I don't know how well that will go. Right then, so I'm now feeding down here and pulling back on this one. Right, so this is where it gets to the trickiest bit, just the last little loop. But there is method in the Magnus. So we can see now we're going to have a bit of a kinking situation, but there's a couple of things we can do to prevent this, well, to improve it at least. So we can pull this one back this way, and then it's at this point we know we need to twist the pipe anti-clockwise. So I've got my hand here now and I'm twisting on that anti-clockwise, and as I'm doing so, it's already trying to take out that kink. So a little bit more on that, a little bit more down there, a little bit more there. That is pretty much it, apart from that bit there, but obviously that's going to straighten out once we send it down the back. So now the only problem is now I do have a bit of excess over here. We should be able to just feed that back down. Feels pretty good. Tiny bit of a kink down there, but all we'll do is twist the pipe the opposite way to try and straighten that out. And there's a very slight kink here, but we can sort that out as well by twisting it from the front. I don't know why my camera just won't focus. That's not a constricting twist anyway. It's just a very, very slight twist just in there. Wonderful job. And that was meant to be the tricky bit. but it didn't look it. Right then. Okay, so, and now I imagine I'm going to have to put grommet in here first, but all I would do here is just feed your hand down here, find the hole that the pipe needs to go through. I've just got in too much pipe here, that's all. Let's put it back a bit. Now I've got too little. You can see the hole because we can see the shadow where the sunlight is, so we know we're close. It's nearer than you think. There we go. Just like that. Ta-da! Where is he? Here it is. One heater hose. Obviously we've got no grommet in there just yet. And grommets are the most important thing. So we're going to go find a grommet now and get that job done. And then we'll do the same on the other side. Right then, so I found a nice new grommet, and I've obviously cut off way too much, but nevertheless, that is the coolant pipe done. I haven't turned the torch on. There we are. Poke through the gap. A little bit of leeway just left here, just so there's a little bit to play with. Down under there. No kink. Heading back down here. A little bit to play with down there as well, just a small bit. Up here. Going through the original grommet up there. Around the front. And this bit I still haven't connected, but that's my very next job. So once we do that, we can then start cracking on with the other side. See if that was as easy as this side. So now that that's all done, we're going to put the interior back together. 3, 2, 1. There we go. That's the interior back together. Still wants a good clean, but for the moment that's done the job. Quite happy with that, really. Not sure about that mounting place for those inertia belts, but there we go. So we can get the seat back in now. And we'll have to do the pipes on the other side, of which the interior has not yet been taken apart, so definitely needs a good clean in here. We'll put that on the list of jobs to do later. Here's a good example of why that pipe needed changing. Wow, it's been rubbing on that for a while. You can see here just how easily it tore as I was pulling it out. So anyway, that's a job well done. Okay, so I've got both coolant pipes done now. Got them all connected back up to the heater. All the grommets back in, just got the cardboard left to go in top of here. Maybe throw a bit of paint on the fuel tank. All the interiors back in. I hung this door back on. That was a nightmare. Not a bad gap that side, but it's well tight on this side. It did have shims in it before, but now that I've repaired this bottom mount down here, I found that the door was catching over here, because obviously now that bottom end is further this way than it used to be, because I guess when it corroded before, there was a bit of an air gap there. So where someone had shimmed it up to take up the slack for that, I've now had to take the shims out. I've had to tap that trim along slightly, but anyway, it fits. Really, it wants a bit taken out of here and a bit taken out of there. But anyway, that's a respray job, that is. Both the coolant pipes are back out here. They're not cut to length now. I've got some nice new grommets in there on both sides. I've just left enough on that you know, we can trim it later on and put some nice Jubilee clips on it. But yeah, so it's been a very busy day, but apart from a bit of schutzing under the front, we're mostly there really. There's not a lot left to do on this car, so I've been looking forward to getting it done and getting it out the door. So yeah, stay tuned for the next video. I rave about these a lot, but I don't think our mate Bobby gets quite enough credit. This is an in-tank fuel filter designed for a Hillman Imp. Well, I imagine it must fit lots of fuel tanks that have a bottom mounted exit. This is an incredibly strong magnet, and it even says in the instructions, keep it well away from anything metal, including phones, pacemakers, bits and pieces like that. And this is just a simple filter attached to a bit of metal. So we're going to fit this to the tank now, and I'm going to show you how I do it. Right then, we're going to have to be a bit quick about this because my battery's running pretty low. So for first off, we need to remove the level sensor. So there's 3 little tabs on here that you can tap to get the little circlip out. That was nice and easy. Out comes the level sender. Right, now in the bottom of the tank, you want to locate the exit. Right, and I can see the exit of the tank there. So we take our magnet and we take a long screwdriver or a drift, or I've even used a like a length of wood before now, like the end of a broom handle, and you put the bottom of the screwdriver on the exit of the tank. And this is the slightly tricky bit. Just sling the magnet down into the bottom of the tank, and then using something non-magnetic like the end of a screwdriver. Try this slightly smaller screwdriver. There we go. Now that magnet is now stuck on the bottom of the tank. Let's have a quick look. There we are. So we can see the screwdriver just locating in the bottom of the tank. And then what we do then is we just carefully try and centralise it just a little bit. Doesn't need to be perfect. In fact, pretty good. Just a little bit more maybe. Yeah, quite happy with that. And then we take the long nose pliers, and this is also a slightly tricky bit. Just grab it in the top there. I haven't actually grabbed that very well. Just going to reposition. Okay, we've got that now. And now we aim for the magnet. And you get it so close and it doesn't quite sit on quite right, then you just take your long screwdriver again. And with a little bit of persuasion, just like that, it sits in. And that is how we do that. I know the fuel tank looks a little bit rough on the bottom, but that is just the residue from the diesel. So we're going to flush that through the system now, and it's going to be like brand new. And that's it with all the cardboard back in. Possibly only temporarily, but it's a nice end to what was a busy day. Okay guys, just a quick video. I haven't done much for a little while. I'm just about to underseal in here with a bit of schuts. So I've just taken the shock out, masked everything up as best as I can just to reduce the overspray. So we're going to schuts in here, same on the other side, a little bit to do underneath, and then we should be nearly done with the twin headlight Singer Chamois Coupe. So going to try and rattle on to get it done this weekend, and then we'll sum up at the end. Okay, so that's all the schutzing finished in here. Got really good coverage all round. It's all gone very well. I've masked up everything as best as I can to try and get a good contrast of the colours and whatnot. I've even gone and cleaned up the braided hose, which has come up quite well. Same on the other side. Yeah, it's come out really well actually. Good. So last little bits to do now. Spanner check, road test when we get an engine for it, And yeah, on with the next one. Just on some finishing touches now. I'm just going to quickly put a flare in the end of the fuel pipe here using the handheld flaring tool. And then once we've done that, we're going to put the 8mm fuel pipe on round to the pump round here. This was the original location for the pump, wasn't my choice, it's just where it was before. So we're running with that. And then this is not fuel pipe I have supplied, but I do always recommend R9 fuel pipe, which is the best that I've found for dealing with all the modern fuels. This is no marking on it, but it's what's been supplied, so we're going with it. So we'll get this fitted now with some new fuel clips, and then should be job done. And there's the fuel pump all plumbed up. Just a nice long bit of pipe on it, so it'll reach the twin 40s. Top job. Okay guys, you join me underneath, and all I can say is, wow. What a transformation from where this car was a couple of weeks ago, or months ago even. It has come on a long way. And I'm glad you could all be here for the process. Yes, it's come together quite well. I'm quite happy with it. There's always room for improvement. There's no doubt about that at all. But on the whole, it's all gone really well. So just a little bit of appreciation for how far we've come. Do need some half nuts on here or some smaller washers, but there is just a bit of the lock nut protruding. There's still a little bit of underseal. We could just clean off some of the brake pipes here and there. Still got the under tray to go on, but yeah, we're mostly there. Obviously, we're missing a key ingredient, being the engine, but it's not my department, so. Oh, slight weep from there. I'll get that nip up. Top job. Right, let's get it finished. And there we go. With the plate now fitted, my work is done. I'd just like to thank everyone for watching in this mini-series. Stay tuned for the next one.